When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can seem intense. Like breakup R&B intense.
I thought you said you loved the sweater that I got you. If you didn't, you could have told me.
Geico makes it easy. Just go to Geico.com anytime to update or check your policy without all the extra drama.
I even had a gift receipt.
Blog Talk Radio.
Join us for today's episode of the Utopian Realities Slope, Save Life on Planet Earth Blog Talk Radio show, bringing you solution bearers with practical, proven, scientific ways to help you eliminate global level irradiation and extinction level threats from your body, and bringing forward the means to restore and sustain global waters, air, soil, and sentient life. Welcome. Good afternoon. This is Lisa Wolf, your host. Again, welcome to the Utopian Realities Slope, Save and Sustain Life on Planet Earth Sunday Scientist Forum, where we speak with and make the global community aware of scientists with actual solutions to the problems we all face, solutions that you can help bring to bear in your own life and the lives of those you love. Solutions do exist right now that can bring about a utopian reality now. We're honored to have with us here today guest Professor John R. Searl, who's joining us from San Diego, and Russell Anderson, who's joining us live from the 2016 Tesla Tech Extraordinary Technologies Conference. And we also have joining us special guest presenters from the conference, including Reverend Donna Dove, as well as Nancy Batchelder and Byington Sims. And Professor Searl, our co-host, is known as the godfather of free energy and the man who saved tomorrow, and is the inventor of the Searl effect generator technology, of which several working units were built and demonstrated in the UK during the 1950s. What Professor Searl developed is a revolutionary approach in energy conversion, an open system energy cycle of electric currents consisting of electron pairs. The Searl generator operates as both a motor and generator and uses the production of an electric current across a conductor moving through a magnetic field as it organizes and harvests random environmental electrons. It follows both the principles known as kinetic magnetism and the laws of thermodynamics. It works at ambient temperature without destructive radiation, zero pollution or heat, and has been shown to ameliorate radiation. Welcome, Professor.
Hello, yes.
Hello. And also let's welcome Russell Anderson, a research scientist and engineer and a Searl team member by invitation of Professor Searl in October of 2007. Someone has tremendous background noise who's with us. Thank you. Russell has been in Albuquerque, New Mexico this week for the 2016 Extraordinary Technology Tesla Tech Conference, lecturing on magnetic motors and the SEG, work and giving prototyping updates. And I understand that two of our guests, Donna Dove and Byington Sims, are going to be needing to speak with us early on in the show because they're getting ready to leave Albuquerque. Welcome, Russell.
Welcome. Greetings from Albuquerque, New Mexico, the 2016 Extraordinary Technology Conference, teslatech.info. And we had a successful lecture on magnetic motors and spintronics, STI spintronics prototyping updates, and our need for funding at this time so we can carry Professor Searl's work forward. And this is not for the glory or greed of any one man or group of people. but this is for all mankind, so we can enter a new age of peace, prosperity, health, and well-being.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I understand that we need to have two of our special presenters speak with us first. So who do we have here with us, Russell? Would you please introduce our first guest?
Yes, I'd like to introduce Mr. Byington Sims from Bisbee, Arizona, and he is a champion and expert on electrotherapeutics and frequency control for health of every cell in the body.
Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, Byington. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful, wonderful.
If you know the frequency of the disease, you can heal it. And
if you know the frequency of your disease, you can heal it. Tell us.
Right.
Tell us more.
And everything is in a state of vibration and frequency is the language of energy. We also produce life machines, and then the galvanic bath. That's relatively unknown. It was first done in Canada in 1875 to treat arthritis. And if you Google galvanic bath, you'll see the history of it, and then you'll see the premier spa is using it to this day. But they took off their website all the things that it would do since the murder of Dr. Bradstreet and his colleagues in Florida. And the galvanic bath, what it does is it detoxes the body directly into the water without going to the liver and kidneys. So you can detox at a far deeper level than you can any other way without any Herxheimer reaction. And it also takes out the pathogens. Many pathogens are gone in minutes. And you'll actually, I've had the people come in and they just darkened the water in the hot tub. You couldn't see the bottom. Then I put a clarifier in, let it settle overnight, and it's an inch deep of sediment that came out of their bodies. And it makes a huge difference. You know, the body can heal itself if you get all the toxins and the pathogens out of the way. Now, it doesn't work if you got a deficiency. You have to make up the deficiency with supplements. And it doesn't really do much for a structural or mechanical problem like if a pinched nerve or something, unless it's done by inflammation. It does get rid of the inflammation and infection. And it's we've saved a guy's leg from being amputated from a bad knee replacement that got MRSA infected, and they struggled for 3 years to try to get rid of the infection, gave up, and scheduled a guy for surgery, and he got one of our machines and had 2 weeks to use it and cleaned it all up, and they canceled the surgery. He still got his leg. I know of nothing else that could do that.
And you came to this work through your own healing journey, did you not? You were facing a health challenge.
I had injured my finger when I didn't take care of it in time, and it got gangrene in it. It was gray-green and swollen. I went to the hospital, X-ray, broken bone, osteomyelitis. Oh, you're going to lose your finger. On the way home, I got the inspiration of what to do. And so I got a bucket of water and some wire and a 12-volt battery and a stainless steel spoon and a piece of copper pipe. I hooked this spoon up to the positive and the copper pipe up to the negative and put my hand in the bucket. And 20 minutes later, the swelling was mostly gone and the color was nice pink color, like it had never happened. And then, of course, I had that surgery to fix the bone. But I saved my finger. I would have lost it otherwise. Let me turn you over to my partner. She's going to tell you a little bit about the life machine.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay, my name is Dori Dember. I'm the director of Aquatronics, and it's the health of future and bioelectronic innovative technology. Scientific American wrote a major article 2014, and it holds this bioelectronic technology holds the promise for using electrical stimulation to treat various diseases and could create the off switch for most chronic ailments like arthritis, relieving pain, reversal of infections and inflammation, and boosting the overall immune system, and yes, even diabetes and cancer. And we had given machines out and also sold machines. Some people can't afford the machine, so they are all handmade by Byington. And the portable galvanic bath as well as a rice machine. So we are working out of our home. Okay, we have this electronic workshop there, and we work with the Magnetic Research Institute in Tucson, and they found out their treatment is more successful if they treat it with a galvanic bath for eliminating the infection, pathogen, and inflammation. And so that's we are 10 years in business, but rather underground. We only referred by one to another, and nobody returned ever our machines. Okay, and we stand behind it very solidly. So, and our website is aquatronicsglobal.com. So we are also, many people come to our house and get treatment, and some cannot afford it, so they get it for free, or we trade something, they do something for us or so. But it's a service, we love it. It's not so much the money we make, it's very little, but it is a satisfaction to help people and serve people.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful. I'll say again for listeners, that's Aquatronics Global, AQUATRONICSGLOBAL.com.
Yes.
And
yes.
How was the conference? How was the conference?
We loved it. We come every year, so for us it's like a vacation, to fill out our get inspiration and knowledge and new contacts and new friends making, so it's a wonderful event, and it's a shining light for United States, you see. So
yes,
thank you.
And thank you so much. And I used to live in Bisbee briefly, so it's a wonderful, wonderful place. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Come and see us.
Thank you. Excuse me?
I wanted to tell you how the bath machine works. Is it's breaking the free radical bonds, because the current goes from the cathode through your body to the anode, to the water, and then to the body, and the anode picks up the current, and the current going through the tissues breaks the free radical bonds, and it releases the toxins into the water. And that's why a person can detox so deeply without getting sick. And it will enhance other therapies too. Like there's electroporation happens when you're in the bath, and that opens up the ability to absorb more nutrients. And there's no drugs or surgery and no side effects. And I got rid of atrial fibrillation, treating myself over the heart.
Oh my goodness!
In the stomach area.
Wow.
I got rid of restless legs by treating the backs of my legs. And wherever there's a strong pull, or a bite, as I call it, it's pulling something out. Now you go over another part of your body where there's no pull, you won't feel anything. It locates the problem areas. Now, when you get like a massage, shows you sore spots. Well, this will also hit those sore spots and take them out. And then you get another massage. You can test it by another massage. It won't be sore anymore, as long as you've gotten the soreness out with the galvanic bath.
And is your email address or the way to contact you at the website?
Yeah.
aquatronicsglobal@gmail.com.
Wonderful.
But aqua, the apple is capital and the global is capital. Okay, so the G and the A is capital. You see, and our phone number, you can also call us. It's 520-366-1626. That's also technical support. I'll find it.
If you have any questions, you call us up and ask us, and we'll answer all the questions for you.
Well, I certainly will be speaking with you, and maybe we'll have a chance to spend some more time in the future and have you back.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Not right now, Professor. Do you have any questions, Russell?
Hello.
Hi, Professor. Let me use my microphone. Hold on 1 second.
Oh.
Hello, Professor. This is Russell. Greetings from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah, I understand. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, we had a successful lecture. I read your positional statement for everyone, so everyone at the conference knows what horrible evil was done to you. And we have hope for funding, and so we can get things going in Florida. And we've got a lot of work to do, and by God, we're going to do it with God's help and the help of all our teammates at Spintronics.
Wonderful.
I hope you were able to study what other people are doing there.
Oh, yes, and they mention your work all the time at a lot of the other presentations, the other lectures. Your work is prominently featured as a zero-point energy converter. You're always spoken about fondly as the godfather of free energy. I also stress the gravity control aspects of your famous levity disc, which we now call the inverse gravity vehicle. And I had some magnetic demos. I did have a glass SEG here, but unfortunately, after working on it day and night for a month, I still didn't have it running. But I had it here as a work in progress. I'm going to make some improvements with Mr. Kirk Miller on it, and I basically, in 2004, I downloaded the instructions for it from Mr. John Thomas's website, searleffect.com. And that Lost Soul, I was down in San Diego in 2013, and I mentioned to the Lost Soul down there that I would like to build the glass SEG just to show the shareholders that we're doing something. And of course he lied to me and said, well, that's a law of the squares machine. And at that point, I knew I was dealing with someone who was not a truthful person, unfortunately. But we are building the glass SEG, and we're going to get it going. I only had one stator arm. It really could benefit from two, and I need to mount the cam track on the disc instead of an outer rotating shaft. But we are going to have that as a prototype to encourage investment so we can build the law of the squares, level 4 square machine. And we're going to have that for people. And, the shareholders are going to get a significant return on their investment. And we just go on from there. That's how wonderful things are brought into this world, not with greed, not with lies and criminal behavior, but with truth, honor, and integrity, as you have demonstrated.
Yes. Russell, I know that we have another presenter from the conference who I think is waiting. Can you introduce, do we have another guest who we need to bring on because they need to leave Albuquerque?
Yeah, I don't see a name tag, but hold on a sec. This is Reverend Donna Dove. of etheric plasma. She's an etheric plasma priestess, and she's talking about Tesla's lost electrotherapy technology.
All right. And is Donna, are you with us?
Hi, Lisa. Yes, thank you.
Hi, welcome. How have you enjoyed the conference?
It's been wonderful. It's exactly what I needed.
Great. So, what are you going to share with us today, Reverend Donna?
Well, I had a table and I did a short presentation, and Marianne invited me to speak here. So I work with the Tesla's electrotherapy device called the Violet Ray. Are you familiar with that?
I'm somewhat, but I'm sure that most of our listeners are not. So if you would explain to listeners what the Tesla Violet Ray is, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Well, Tesla was hit by a taxi in New York, and he didn't like doctors or hospitals, and he had a hunch that his frequencies would heal the human body. So he went back to his lab instead of to the hospital, and he ran the frequencies through his body, and he healed really quickly from fractures and contusions. And then he went to Europe and worked with some doctors in France, and with Dr. Paul Udin, O-U-D-I-N, they built the first Violet Ray machine, and then Darson Vall actually got the patent. Tesla never patented this device. But essentially what it is a Tesla coil. For the doctor's kits, there were doctor's kits, and then there were handheld portables. The doctor's kit has a coil in the box and then a relay coil in the wand handle. And the portable units just have the Tesla coil in the handle. And then there are various glass tubes that are hand-blown that are shaped for different parts of the body, for the ears, for the sinuses, for the rectum, for the eyes, for general applicators. And these tubes are mostly filled with argon gas, which when ionized by the Tesla coil, when they insert into the handle, glow purple or violet, which is why they call it the Violet Ray. Tesla called it the Master Violet Ray. In France, they did like neon gas. It was a little more expensive, but those glow orange. But most people agree that, the purple, the violet, is the highest vibrating frequency color, and that is the preferred gas, which is argon in the tubes. Not long, they were fairly popular in the 1900s, 1910, 1920, 1930, and then by the 40s, I don't know if Tesla had opened a company that provided ozone generators to hospitals, and that was the antibiotic for the hospitals. And then when the pharmaceutical companies came along, they disparaged ozone, they disparaged the Violet Ray. They said it didn't work. They revoked the licenses of the doctors who were using them, and they confiscated an inventory of the manufacturers in the U.S. And then when the Depression came along, it pretty much knocked them out. People who had them passed away, left them to their kids. They didn't know what they were. They got put in attics, sold at yard sales. They've since come back. The vintage units you can find on eBay. They can be pretty expensive, and sometimes they break, capacitors and things like that. I had an injury, and I had some hunches and things about plasma, and I had plantar fasciitis on my right foot, and I actually put my foot on my plasma ball, and I healed it within a week. And then I fell and separated a glute muscle from the hip bone. I didn't have insurance, and my plasma ball was a little awkward to work with, and I had a hunch that Tesla knew this energy healed, and I found some vintage devices and found that they worked very effectively, but the one that I had overheated in 5 minutes. It wasn't grounded. It was heavy and had a large diameter. It was hard to hold, especially because I was working on the backside. And decided we needed something grounded, something more solid state that didn't overheat, smaller, more streamlined, easy to handle, and I found that they are actually FDA approved for facials. So I'm able to get devices. I evaluated a whole lot of different ones until I found one that I was very satisfied with, and I offer a 1-year warranty. And so basically these devices emit plasma, which is a quantum substance. And I believe that Tesla, he didn't know it, but he was basically channeling the anatomy of a black hole, like at the center of the galaxy. So there is a galactic jet or a scalar wave that comes out the top of the coil, and a transverse wave or a gravity wave that comes out the side. So you hold the device down low where the capacitor is. You don't hold it where the transverse wave will make you absorb the energy into your hand, so that the scalar wave is stronger and goes into the body of yourself or the person that you're working on. And essentially, if this makes sense, it removes anything that's foreign to your body and restores your divine natural blueprint, because plasma has intelligence. This device has a pulse oscillating frequency that changes from 60 megahertz on a scale up to 200 megahertz, and it reads what your body needs and gives you the frequency that you need to restore your divine natural blueprint. So it actually can purify water. Plasma can. I have a video on YouTube called Purify Water with Plasma, and there's a lot of research being done in universities with cold plasma. There's a whole new emerging field of science in cold plasma. I'm not sure how they do that, but we are working with thermal plasma with the violet ray device.
Mm.
So do you have any questions?
So also, besides the video, do you have a website or way for people to get in touch with you?
Yes. Yes, I have a website. It's vpzap.net. It's www.vpzap.net. I have a YouTube channel. I have quite a few videos on there, and my channel is called VPZap.
Could you spell that?
VPZAP. ZP stands for 0 point. VPZap. ZPZAP is my YouTube channel and my website, vpzap.net.
Okay.
So these devices, they also produce ozone. It's a byproduct of a Tesla coil, and that has its own therapy. And I, over the past 5 years in working with it, I've been able to fine-tune the way you use it more precisely. The new devices are easier to work with because you can hear the plasma and work with the feedback. The old devices are kind of loud, and they don't give me what I call the sweet spot, which is where it makes a really deep connection, and the plasma starts to flicker, and it gets louder, and the client actually can feel it basically pulling something out of their body and putting back in basically prana.
Wow. Professor, any questions, comments for Donna?
No.
I mean, I know you're very familiar with
the subject.
Hello?
Yes.
That I must agree that she seems to be very devoted to her studies.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Good.
I mean,
because some people, they just talk for the sake of talking. And there are those who are sincere and really try to do something better.
Well, thank you. I'm very touched. Means a lot to me.
Russell, any questions, thoughts? Are you with us, Russell?
No, I just, Professor, how are you feeling? Do you have any pain, or are you doing okay, sir?
Well, pain is my normal life.
Oh,
Without
I'm afraid of that.
Be alive.
Well, it sounds like you need a violet ray.
Or domestic SEG in your home. Oh, I need to mute myself.
Am I done?
Yeah, we need to get the prototyping done. We need. First of all, Professor, we need to get your work prototyped, and it looks like that's going to happen very soon. And it's a very exciting time. I made a lot of friends and a lot of contacts. My lecture went over very, very well. I got constant compliments. And, I think we really are on the road. We're on our way.
Oh, that's good.
And I would like to introduce my wife, Marianne Anderson. Thank you. Marianne Anderson, who has been my wife for a little over a year. And she is a wonderful spiritually advanced lady. And she would like to share her experiences with the violet ray treatment she received here this week at the Tesla Tech Extraordinary Technology Conference here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Marianne?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Marianne. Yes, Donna, I had a treatment yesterday. It was lovely, a 10-minute treatment, and I can tell you I was so relaxed. I could feel the change and shifts in my body. She worked on my back and my head, and I felt like a new person, like my whole body, just the cellular structure. I just could feel the change through my whole body. I actually slept better. I felt more energy. And I have like a chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, and I just feel I didn't have any pain in my bones. So I'm like, I feel like a new person. I mean, one treatment, I would need more treatment, but it was amazing. Yeah, I know it's great to hear from somebody that's had a treatment, like Donna treated herself, but having another person. And Donna is not far. She can actually make it to John and help him as well if he'd like.
Yes.
She's willing to do that. She has her vehicle that she's her RV kind of thing, and so she's free to go anywhere she wants, and she would love to help John as well, and Judy, and no charge, and freely of her heart, and a kindred spirit. She's a beautiful lady. So the conference as well went really well. And I've really enjoyed it. My second time this year from last year. I've met old friends, made new friends, vendors and the patrons, and everybody in the hotel was so lovely. What else? All the clean energy and health and science, and just really sharing and supporting each other. And we had a social meet in the evening from Wednesday night to last night, and a lot of fun music, sing, dance, and it was just a great, and last night was just good energy. People.
I a guitar this time.
Yes, and Russell singing and playing, and I sing and dance.
Had a wonderful time.
It was like a party, but lovely, and the speakers, everything went so well, so smoothly. I hope that John can make it next year.
Yes.
And a brighter new day and a brighter new year this year into the next.
Good things are happening.
Yes, and more and more. Now, the conference does sell DVDs, and you can get past years, you can get this year.
Buy the DVD set.
The phone number to order DVDs, whether single or set, I have a number. It's 520-463-1994 on the Tesla conference. So if anybody else, say the number again, 520-463-1994. That's where you can get the conference, the DVDs from all the speakers that for this year of 2016 and the prior years as well. So I thank you. We'll get Russ,
including my talk on magnetic motors and the technology of my friend and mentor since 2007, the godfather of free energy, and one of the best men and most spiritually advanced people I know, Professor John Roy Robert Searl.
Yes, blessings to John and Judy.
And blessings to John and Judy.
Yes.
We love you.
Well,
we love you too.
So, Russell and Marianne, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back, and then we'll have a chance to hear from Professor Searl. I know that he wants to share his thoughts with us, and then Russell, if you'd also sort of walk us through the paper that you delivered for this conference. We'd really appreciate it. And then I guess we will still be hearing from one of the other folks who was there at the conference. Moving forward, I believe Nancy Batchelder will be joining us later in the program.
Yes.
All right. Okay, wonderful. All right. Welcome back. We have with us today Professor John R. Searl and Russ Anderson and his wife Marianne. And
Lisa, get here. On again. I don't know what he wants.
Hi. So, Professor, welcome. How are you today?
Oh, I mustn't grumble. I'm kicking.
So good. What would you like to let our listeners know today, Professor? What are your thoughts that you'd like to share?
Well, I would like to point out that why people never saw the SEG, because by then, when they heard of it, the government had already destroyed them as not meeting their requirements. That's why they didn't see them. And they know that because they read the newspaper articles and saw the newsreels. So they knew that the matter went to court and the units had been destroyed.
Yes.
That's the unfortunate inventor. Have to be very careful where he vents or she vents, because you need to know what the local laws are. Laws that give the power to the officials to confiscate anything you've done which they feel breaks their rules. And that's very important, I think, for all inventors. First, to find out what all the legal rules are in the area they want to work before starting. Because you can spend millions and then find official people walk in and take the stuff and destroy it because some technical problem that don't agree with them.
Right. Well, it is a challenge to the nuclear power industry and oil and gas to provide power without any toxicity or need for oil or gas or being plugged into the grid. So that is true. Russell, are you with us? Russell? Let's see where Russell is.
Can you hear me?
Marianne?
Hello?
Yes,
Hi,
now I hear you.
Okay,
Hi.
yeah, it was apparently muted. Yeah, greetings from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Hi. Professor was just... Hi.
Yeah, Lisa, hi. My other guest had to opt out at the last minute. She won't be able to speak today.
Oh, all right.
All right, so just John and Russell remainder. Just a heads up. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Marianne. Okay.
You're welcome.
Yes, Russell, Professor was just speaking about how careful inventors have to be in moving forward with disruptive technologies so as not to have them confiscated and suppressed to be able to move forward successfully. And did you want to continue, Professor, with your thoughts?
Well, quite naturally, I'm more concerned about inventors, that they're not slipping up on some little issue they did not see was important. That's the trouble. There are a lot of ideas that end up in the scrap bin because of some silly rule of the local area. And it's a shame because instead of going forward, we sort of go backwards. And that's not good in the long run. The trouble about this technology is that it goes back to 1,000 years before the birth of Christ. You've got to pick up from that point and add all our findings. And that don't always please the big money-making people. They don't like to find their profits reducing. And you can be sure they do everything to get legal rules in the area set so you can't win. They do everything they can. It's not how good your project is. It's how much profit they're going to lose counts.
That has been what we've seen, definitely. Russell, are you with us?
Right here. Yeah, I turned my phone off because there's no need to use two phones. We're just on one phone.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Your thoughts on what Professor's discussing, the suppression and getting past the suppression?
Yes. Well, first of all, you have to have a legal company structure and people you can depend on, people who are, old souls, basically, who are spiritually advanced. They're moral, they're incorruptible, and you can depend on them year after year after year. You have to have a company structure in place that is SEC and IRS compliant. You have to, have all your I's dotted and T's crossed so that the government can't come in and stamp down on you. You have to have a first-rate legal team, a world-class legal team that can defend the company entities and company individuals from attack. And Professor Searl has had to endure numerous attacks, both physical and attempted legal, over the years, and the work has basically been suppressed for 35 years. And every attempt to bring the technology to the forefront since then has been hampered by people who basically want to own the technology, or if they can't own the technology, then own Professor Searl. And what is it when you take ownership of a human being? That's slavery, and that is the most heinous thing in the world. And we have to get beyond that. And this technology is here. It's been here. This is the 70th anniversary of the first building and operation of the first SEGs at British Rewinds and Repairs in London. And this is my summer 1986 is when I first discovered the Searl technology in a book called The Anti-Gravity Handbook, Adventures Unlimited Press, compiled by David Hatcher Childress, who you can see all the time on Ancient Aliens, and whom I met in Philadelphia in 1994 at the Thomas Townsend Brown Anti-Gravity Conference. So I've been studying this technology for 3 decades, and it's been 7 decades since the technology was first built and deployed. And now it's time, it's long past time for the technology, Professor Searl's wondrous technology, which does what Nikola Tesla said mankind would one day do, harness the wheelwork of nature, literally. And we are not going to be stopped. We're not going to be suppressed. Professor Searl is not going to be stopped. He is not going to be suppressed. And we are going to do this, and we have a patent pending to protect Professor Searl's rights because the patent laws changed a few years ago. Now it's first to file. It's not who came up with the idea first. It's first to file. So we're protected. Professor Searl's rights are protected, and we are moving forward. We need to just get the word out of what's been happening to Professor Searl, and we need to get the word out that all we need is just $2.3 million funding. We have a prospectus, a confidential memorandum report that's beautiful and shows the actual work we're doing. You know, we've done more work in Florida in the last 3 years on far less money than has what gone to SMI in San Diego with no palpable result in San Diego, but yet we have pressed with 100-ton presses our plates and homogeneous mixture plates and homogeneous mixture runners, which are the Gunner-Sandberg mix, which is what Paul Brown built, which is actually the IGV mix, nothing different. And we're doing that, and we just need the money to continue. Everybody's itching to get back to work, and I miss Professor Searl. I miss talking with him and seeing him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him every day and working with him in the facility in Florida or wherever we're going to have it. And you know, it's a done deal. We are going to do this. You know, it's you know, if you believe in a higher power or a God or whatever, I believe God has said and is saying now is the time. Now is the time for Professor Searl, and now is the time for mankind. And we are entering a new age. It's an age of disclosure. No more suppression. No more suppression of ideas. No more suppression of technology, and no more suppression of Professor John Roy Robert Searl, who is my friend and mentor, and I have missed him these past 2.5 years like nobody's business. And I am so glad that he's free of that awful, awful captivity in San Diego.
Yes, Professor Searl, your thoughts?
Hi. Yes, I must agree that Russell tries very hard in his efforts to get the SEG done. The SEG which he's talking about is a glass wheel technique, a very, very awkward thing to create. And not only that, it takes hours of fiddling to get the forces dead right, to get it to rotate continuous with no problem. The bar system is easier, quicker, and cheaper to do.
I agree.
If it's alive, there's lots of wonderful things you can do to produce most motivation. It's not just petrol and oil. You can even get potatoes to light a bulb. I mean, say, yes, gradually the potato will get less energy to give to the bulb. But the fact is that nature, lots of things in nature, can produce a low voltage for a period. But they can't keep on creating it. They have to be charged up. And this is the beauty about the energy technique. We do not burn energy. We do not burn it in any way or form. We're recycling it all the time. As long as you don't burn it, you don't run out of it. It's there. Maglev was a great news of my time, but I don't hear much about it these days. So I don't know what's gone wrong with that, as the cost became too high. So the idea of maglev has died out. I don't know.
Your thoughts, Russell?
Yeah, well, I've actually
maglev.
seen some. Yeah, go ahead, Professor.
Whether he saw any demonstration on maglev systems, which was the talk of the 60s. Because that is really the work I'm involved in.
Yes, it is maglev because the runners, or which are really the rotors segmented, are little separate generators in themselves, a la Faraday and De Palma, and it's a very interesting system. Although I have seen some maglev systems that are new, that are in various countries, where everything is all digitally controlled, computer controlled, and they energize just the section of track that the train is over, and it's very, very efficient. And I believe they have it in Germany, Japan, and China. You know, we were in Beijing 3 years ago to try to get interest and backing going in that, but unfortunately that too was sabotaged by a lost soul there in San Diego. But that has done some very not cool things. But you know, as they say, swift is justice, and saith the Lord, vengeance is mine.
And hi, Russell. This is Judith.
Oh, hi.
How
Judith.
are you? Yes.
Oh, good. Good to hear your voice.
Yes. Let's not dwell on that anymore. It's just not productive. Let's go forward and see what we can do and just leave all of the negativity behind us, because all it does is perpetuate it. And karma is karma, and let's leave it at that. Okay?
I agree. I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Judith.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's just so angering, you know, that
that's
people.
That's fine, but
yeah.
The past is the past, and just like dogs and cats, let's stay in the now and deal with what we can do and what we have to do, and leave the rest of the nonsense behind us. You know, what happened 50 years ago doesn't really matter now. It's now what we can do and who's involved and how we can move forward. And as I've said several times, time's running out. So we need to keep the hourglass from getting stuck in some negativity and getting jumped up and dwelling on that, which is a distraction, and it's not helpful. So let's just go forward with the idea that we're going to do this, and it's going to happen in the next year or so, and that John is going to be fully involved someplace, somewhere, somehow. So that's my 2 cents for the day.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
Judith.
I think you had a little.
That's what
I
my
think
wife
you had
said.
a little more to say, Judith. Did you not? I think you had more than 2 to share.
Well, actually, what John wants to do now is meet with some people that are vetted, that have experience in magnetizing, and that have the educational background so they'll understand what he's talking about, and also come forth with machine operators and all those kinds of individuals that can perpetuate this in as fast manner as possible. The other thing that John needs, and we're putting out into the universe, is that we need to talk with someone. We need someone to come forward and mentor us on corporate structure, protecting John's intellectual property and his trademark, and how to not just know that it's there, but know what we can do to make sure that it's used in the most beneficial ways of getting this thing handled. So if anyone is listening that can give us some advice or tell us how to go about figuring that aspect out, why we'd be most grateful. And you can contact us through Lisa as website and etc. And is there anything else that I mentioned, Lisa, that when we were talking the other day that I've left out?
I think that's pretty much it. And you'll be with us throughout the show. And it sounds like we have a little dog saying hello. Who is that, Judith?
Yeah, a little doggy.
This is Gracie saying hello to Professor. His best friend. She's a little chihuahua with furry hair. She looks like a little M. Yes, you do. I'm looking someplace else for you to be with twice.
So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Professor and Mrs. Searl and Russ Anderson, who is live from the Tesla Tech Conference. And we're going to listen to a piece that was composed in Professor Deborah Knight.
Deborah.
And yes, and stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We have Professor John Searl and his wife Judith, and Russ Anderson and his wife Marianne. Welcome back, Professor. Welcome back, Russell.
Thank
Hi.
you.
I must agree.
Hi.
Deborah tried hard to produce music, but pushing the technology of the Searl effect to the public. But there was also Barry Stroller, who converted all my poems that in my books to music, and he also converted the very long letter I wrote to President Clinton when he was president in music.
Ooh.
And that is a very famous bit of music.
Wow, we'll have to. You'll have to share those with me, Professor. So in the future, we can share those with listeners. That sounds wonderful. You've
spent a lot of time working through the night with me to create that music. And
I look forward to hearing
has
that.
got copies of them, and he wanted to use one particular one in a film that they were involved in, out-of-body experience. I forget which tune that was he wanted to use.
Oh, well, I look forward to hearing that, sharing that with listeners.
There is other bands that played things. And there were bands who came who wanted to do music, but they need to get to understand all the technical words so that they could arrange them to make sense to the people listening to the music. Or that I was really famous for. All the hit songs came out on space, like I'm an urban spaceman, fly me to the moon, and all this stuff rolled out. It was a heyday for space songs, Lily the Pink and things like that. I suppose it's before your time.
Well, I was around in the 60s, Professor. I was younger, and I look forward to hearing those. And are there any recordings with you singing? Because I know you used to sing, Professor.
Yes. I don't forget what's available these days. Much has been erased, because it offended certain people who were trying to take control, so they wiped the stuff out.
Yes.
Sad thing. I used to do all my 4.5 videos I used to make. I used to do a lot of singing about my technology in those films.
Yes.
I haven't seen a copy of them for a long time. I know that Morris had lots of videotapes and recordings of my part of what I'd done. But what he actually had there, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's a shame, really.
Russell.
In the whole, it's an exciting technology. Very interesting technology. And it should be put to music so people get to not only like the idea of the technology, but want it.
Yes. Well, I think, Professor, that most people actually want to be liberated from fossil fuels and excessive power bills and the contamination of the earth. And, we're so in support of your technology because it has the also amazing added benefit of ameliorating radiation, which is such a tremendous threat to all life right now, and which, is part of the reason that there's such a pressing need at this point to bring it forward. And Russell, are you still there?
Right here.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the '60s too, and I was a big fan of Jerry Anderson. No relation. God rest his soul. He passed away a couple of years ago. And one of my favorite shows when I was a kid was, I remember the song went like this. I want to be a spaceman, the fastest guy alive. I take you round the universe in Fireball XL5. And I remember that. I'd like to be a fireball. Da, 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 da. And I used to think Jerry Anderson made shows just for me because I loved them so much. And later on, a few years later, I remember watching the news, CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite, and then at 7:30, this beautiful star background came on, and then it said something like September 16th or so, or October 16th, 1997, and it said, Dick Tufeld's voice came on and said, this is the day you are watching the unfolding of one of history's greatest adventures, mankind's colonization of space beyond the stars. And then it came up with a beautiful picture of a double-decker flying saucer, and it was the Jupiter 2, Lost in Space. And then a year later, I remember the summer of 1966, my mom and sister, they knew I was a huge science fiction fan, a science fan, and they said, there's going to be this new show about a starship, and it's going to be faster than light starship. It'll go all over and have an international crew. And I'm like, no way, you're pulling my leg. That would be just too wonderful. And September 8th, 1966, almost 50 years ago, I watched the premiere of Star Trek. And I thought, oh my God, I've been a Star Trek fan for 50 years also, and I think it's a good thing to have these concepts on the mass media, on television, to get people excited about science and about exploration, and get kids, excited about science. A lot of people, that were Star Trek fans became scientists and physicists and astrophysicists, and working in the space technology, all because they were inspired and excited by the TV shows they watched as kids and the music they heard. And through the mass media, we can reach millions of people all over the world at the speed of light and tell them, yes, you can have this technology. Art imitates life. This technology came from working devices, such as the devices from the anti-gravity and artificial gravity devices that were the patents of Thomas Townsend Brown that I replicated in the 1990s, and they work even better than what's claimed in the patents. And, of course, Professor Searl's technology now is patent pending. The U.S. Patent Office has allowed 32 of the 37 claims, and, we had to go ahead and hurry up and patent, and we did, to protect Professor Searl's rights, because they changed the patent law a few years ago. Now it's first to file, not who first invents it. So we had to do that, right. And we're proceeding, and we are going to do this. By God, we are going to do this. And Professor Searl is going to be protected and well cared for, and we're going to work with him, and we're going to see, and my greatest dream is for Professor Searl to see his unmanned and this time manned with full life support IGVs flying in the sky again. Like Professor Searl said, people are going to look up, not look down at their shoes. They're going to look up and see these things silently flying in the blink of an eye from continent to continent. And we are going to have the much prophesied new age. It's here. It's here. We are going to have it. And my wife, Marianne, is fond of saying, don't say it's coming. Say it's here right now. And that's how you manifest good things in our world.
Truly, yeah. Truly. Russell, the paper that you delivered at the conference this year, it's related to your work with technology, is it not?
Oh, yes. My talk was on magnetic motors, free energy magnetic motors, and STI. We now call a company Spintronics to protect Professor Searl's copyrighted trademark name. We call it Spintronics. STI is Spintronics. Prototyping updates to show what we've been doing in Florida on dwindling funds. When I was over in Holland lecturing at the first Global BEM, right after my lecture, I sat back down in the audience, an investor, a very prominent philanthropist who was also a co-producer on the film Sirius by Dr. Stephen Greer of disclosureproject.org. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You will have your money." And within a couple of days, he had deposited significant monies in our company accounts, and we were able to carry the work forward and do a lot. But anyway, what we've done in Florida, we have pressed with 100 tons of pressure rock-hard plates and runners. And with the homogeneous mixture, the 6 elements inverse gravity vehicle mixture, which is the mixture for fantastic power for flight. And we're going to do this. We are doing it. We just need funding to get back to work, get back to paying bills, and get back to work. And we are doing this, and we need to send out the word that anyone who can help at all, money-wise, we have a minimum investment of $20,000 and a $60,000 tax credit if funding amount, and we can get back to work on the work of mankind, on the work of Professor Searl. And I just want to say that Professor Searl is one of the most, if not the most, wonderful man I know, next to the people on my team, such as Mr. Bradley Lockerman, Mr. Kirk Miller, and, of course, our chief engineer, Ph.D., Mr. Bruce Parsons, down there in southern Florida.
Will you give us a synopsis, then, of your paper, Russ? Would you share what you shared in detail with the listeners?
Yeah. 1 second. Let me pull out the brochure, the conference program, and let's see. My abstract also presented a new paper on free energy, which includes a huge emphasis on magnetic motors because, of course, permanent magnets are gate pumps for the ether, or zero-point energy, it's been called, or quantum foam, which what they call in physics today. It's an inexhaustible field that is all around us 24/7 in every corner of the universe. And Wheeler, who's a very famous physicist, geometrodynamics, which was published in the early 60s, using relativity proofs because he postulated that the energy can't be infinite, postulated that the field strength, the energy density of one cubic centimeter of vacuum is the mass equivalent, something like 10 to the 94th grams per cubic centimeter. So you can imagine if you converted all that mass into energy, the stupendous power that is cohered by the overloaded and superconducting SEG for flight. And, of course, the SEG/STG, when it's overload, well, the more load you put on it, the faster it runs and the colder it gets. It doesn't have normal fermion currents with just the single electrons bumping around all over with their kinetic energy wasted in heat. Instead, we have an electron drawn in a vortexian manner from the environment, and then it pairs up with an electron taken off the neodymium or whatever rare earth in the lanthanide series you're using. And they just spiral around each other so they can't repel each other, so they don't create heat. Instead, they create cold through the materials as they work their way to the maxills imprinted on the surface of plates and runners, gaining energy as they go. And anyway, here's my my abstract of my talk. And I got all kinds of compliments all week long. I spoke on this past Thursday at 4 p.m. Free energy magnetic systems and STI prototyping updates. Russell Anderson. A tachyon concept of superluminal particles was confirmed by Professor Gerald Feinberg of Columbia University in 1967. This and similar discoveries, such as the silver-tooth Sagnac interferometry experiment to detect ether, prompted re-examination of all the Maxwell's equations and probable invalidation of special relativity, general relativity too. Over Unity devices such as Professor Searl's and Dr. Thomas Townsend Brown's and the SEG/STG working devices established the reality of the tachyon C, which is the synonymous with the Dirac C of electrons, as the probable source of their extra output energy. The tachyon C is synonymous with the gravitational flux, which is ether, in space, and that explains the concept of quantum entanglement/action at a distance, the existence of which is acknowledged, but the causative mechanism is just starting to be understood as the action of micro wormholes, in other words, pair coupling of black holes, submicroscopic black holes and white holes, and their purpose is to channel electric flux from hyperspace into our 3D/4D flatland slot. Now, Paul Brown, who worked with our PhD, our CEO, our late CEO, Mr. Phil Talbert, who unfortunately died a little over a year ago. Anyway, he worked with Paul Brown and had witnessed a test device which was the same formula as the level 6 square SEG, in other words, 6 elements. I built a device back in '86, and that's when I first discovered the Searl, Professor Searl's technology. It caught fire, the wiring caught fire, and he had to shunt it to ground in order to prevent huge catastrophe in the lab facility. But they calculated that it was putting out about 1 megawatt of power before that happened. So you can imagine the energy density it's cohering. If you have a device the size of a laptop computer or a thin telephone book that is cohering from the quantum vacuum or the 0.1 megawatt of power, and that's just for starters, and one single plate and 12 runners, just plate number 1 and 12 runners. So you can imagine if you add 2 more plates, the energy that's going to have. So anyway, Paul Brown built a device in 1986 based on the research and working devices of Professor Searl's technology that cohered enormous energy density in the form of usable electricity, to the extent that he was forced to short the device to ground in his effort to abort a runaway condition. And of course, without limiting and with overloading on the Earth's atmosphere, these things just go into a runaway condition. That's one of their characteristics, one of their striking characteristics. And this resulted in a fire, but he measured almost 1 megawatt and 1 million watts of power prior to shutdown. I researched at STI for our spintronic generator, which is the SEG, Professor Searl's SEG, is based on principles derived from these and our more recent experiments, including certain digital improvements that were not available then, and patents are pending for this revolutionary device to protect Professor Searl's rights, and we have units that we are willing to demonstrate for the live audience that do not need batteries. Well, of course, I brought my glass SEG as a work in progress, and that needs meticulous placing of the magnets, and the cams and cam tracks should be all metal. I had my cams made of plexiglass or perspex and a epoxy disc made by Mr. Kirk Miller in Northern California, but they should be all metal, as it says in the instructions that I downloaded from Mr. John Thomas's website. And Mr. John Thomas, of course, is the great man who I met in 2006 at COFE 2, the Conference on Future Energy in Washington, D.C. So I first met Mr. Fernando Morris and John Thomas in the flesh, and I had been corresponding with Mr. John Thomas, over the phone since 1994. And anyway, I was not able to bring any other working demos that we had in Florida. We had another working demo that I suggested back in 2013, which was based on the V-Gate, George Sukup's V-Gate, which is a very famous working magnetic motor that you can see on YouTube if you just go to V-Gate, V-Gate. And we also have a Q-Mogen. Q is for quantum, QEM, quantum energy machine generator, and that was built by Dr. Bruce Parsons, Ph.D., and his dad, Roy, at our STI facility in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And that works until you just get tired of watching it. We don't know how long it runs, but it runs for probably a long, long time. And the V-gate also. I suggested perhaps V-gate patterns as Maxwell's on the plates and runners, but of course we can just do the sine wave pattern. You have a sine wave on the plate and a sine wave on the runner. And at the block wall, which is the middle of the plates and runners, those two waves intersect at right angles, 90 degrees, and what you have then is the magnetic equivalent of a two-phase motor where you have two coils spinning a conductive loop. So you can have a two-phase motor. It's a magnetic equivalent. That's all. It's pretty simple looking, pretty simple sounding, but the steps to take to get that device, which is the Searl effect generator / STG spintronic generator, is pretty esoteric.
Any thoughts, Professor? Comment?
Yes, a lot of work to be done before we can get into mass production. And mass production is not going to be cheap.
Yes.
Yes, because costs have risen dramatically since the 1960s for materials, heavy equipment, and labor. This is not something that you can DIY in your garage. This requires infrastructure of heavy equipment, all of which Professor Searl had at British Rewinds and Repairs Limited in London, and then later the Midlands. So we've got to do that, and we can also outsource our work. We're not afraid to outsource our work as long as the people sign an NDA just to get it going, to get it working. And that's our goal. We're looking for partners, we're looking for shareholders, and people that, are good, solid citizens who have a track record of goodness and kindness and legality. They will not do things that are not legal or not nice. And, we're looking for good people who want to see this technology get out to people. And we have certain target markets that we're going to target first to basically, quote-unquote, sneak the technology in through the back door. So before it's even noticed, it's all out there. And a perfect example of how to do that, we think, is Elon Musk, our good friend Elon Musk and Tesla Motors. And made Tesla's name a household word when it was basically erased from the history books.
Yes. That one would hope that Elon Musk will step into the circle and help move this forward. That would be wonderful.
Yes, our company officers know Elon personally, and are a couple of our fewer shareholders. And this work is for the shareholders and all of humanity. And by gone, we're gonna, gosh darn it, we're gonna make sure their trust is justified, so they get a decent return on their investments. They gave us money in good faith so we could do this work, and we're not about to let them down. We're not about to let Professor Searl down. We're going to do this. We are doing it. But we need your help. Speaking to anyone who has the ability to help and the wherewithal.
And let's talk a little about. Let's go back for those who haven't listened before. What are we actually talking about? The principles and benefits, Professor and Russell?
Professor, I'll let Professor Searl answer that since he is the inventor, and he built the technology along with the engineers at British Rewinds and Repairs and later the Midlands. It's your baby, Professor.
Yes, but the way I see this is that right now the technology is feasible. It can be done. There's no ifs or buts. The problem is getting people to believe that it is possible to do when you've got so-called experts saying it's impossible. You cannot have a running wave on metal. Amen. And that's where they're wrong. And this is where they're making all the difficulties of getting the type of funding which we so urgently need, because we so urgently need the technology. It's all right to say you've got solar cell, you've got wind power, you've got wave power, but all these create wear and tear and running costs. We've got to have a technology which do not create a running cost. The SEG, when done as I used to do it, is the answer. It's been proved over 31 years that there was no wear or tear involved. And that, to me, is sufficient. I don't need to go 1,000 years to accept that this is a technology that does not wear out, because there is no friction involved. Every motor I know of, generators that have friction involved, and that is their problem. It generates heat. Heat means losses. So sooner or later, the project is going to pack up or seize up. The SEG don't have this problem, and this is what people seem to fail to understand. It is collecting the electrons from the air or space around itself and converting it to high velocity, which yields the energy you need that can be converted, that you can use. It's there. The Bible tells you that. As far as I can remember, that's a long time ago, I believe Jesus said that when you stop wasting money, this green stuff, there is energy His Father sends to earth, which is absolutely free, and He's right. That is the truth. The energy is forever around us. All we have to do is find a way to attract it and to make use of it without burning it. That is our problem. And that problem was solved back in 1960s. So it's a long time ago, and yet there's still no SEGs in the shops. There should be. There's no reason why they shouldn't be, except that there are certain people who don't want you to have it. They want the technology so they can charge the richest people, the earth, for the energy and make themselves rich very quick. I have never looked at the money side. I always say that when the thing is good, it will look after you. If it's rubbish, then it won't. In 2 years or so, it'll be finished, and the money you were getting has ended. I want something not based on money, but something that makes this earth a better place for everyone. For our food that we depend on is better, and therefore the water, the air we have to rely on is also better. It's not a question impossible. It's possible. It's money that blocks the success. If we can only get rid of this money craze, maybe then we could have a better world.
Yes, definitely. Creator's given us everything that we need, and somehow this system has taken over and become an obstacle. Yes.
It's an obstacle. That affects everything. Some people can't get medical help because they don't have the money to pay for it. I mean, we call ourselves educated human, but where is human in its behavior? Where is the education? I cannot see it. And therefore, it's just can't exist. And that's a shame. You can't call yourself a human being if you don't act as one.
This is true. This is true.
Yes. There are a few good people out there, but they never hear of me. They never hear this technology because they don't have the means to search for it. Because they don't have the money to get a PC or pay for the software needed to search. And that's a shame. As I understood it, in France, they gave a free computer to every house so they could order food via the computer. And it worked. It made more business. Without the computer, business dropped off. The computer changed their lives. And there are a lot of things done in France which have definitely, without question, improved the area for those who have to live there. And we ought to look at these things very careful and see how we can adapt the same sort of things everywhere in the world.
Yes. Yes. Professor and Russell, again, since one of our main goals with SLOPE for saving and sustaining life on planet Earth is radiation amelioration, will you describe for listeners, again, how it is that the SEG technology has been shown in the past to ameliorate radiation?
Right.
Yeah, Professor Searl, I'll defer to you.
Scientists brought in 2 radioactive materials and wanted me to put one of them at a time in the center of the SEG that I was demonstrating at that 10-hour lecture. I did. They timed it for 5 minutes. Now, before it was put in, they showed the radiation level of it and the radiation level of their watch they were wearing on their arm. After the device was brought out of the center of the SEG and measured it, the reading was lower than the reading of their watch. The next 2 put in gave the same results. And therefore, the scientists say that the SEG could, feasible, be used to attack radiation problems. Of course, we need big SEGs, agree. But the fact is there was a possibility that it could be done due to that demonstration done at St. John's Hall in Mortimer, Berkshire.
Yes. Russell?
Yes.
Would you like to add anything?
No, I think Professor Searl has said it well, and I remember reading about the radiation amelioration in the book I bought from John Thomas, which I first saw as a cover story in Nexus magazine, November, December 1993, and I was like, oh, great, this is fantastic, more info, law of the squares. So I was well familiar since late 93 about the radiation amelioration properties of the Professor Searl's SEG, and that it is just the kind of technology we're looking for because it does so many good things. If you have one in your home, you can power your home with it, of course limited to prevent it from overloading and then punching a hole through your roof. It ameliorates. It ameliorates radiation, of course, if samples are placed in the center ring of plate number 1, which is plate number 1. and, of course, overloaded and superconducting. It makes a really great space drive. And despite its simplicity, it coheres the zero-point energy, harnesses the wheelwork of nature, as Nikola Tesla said we would one day do. And just like Nikola Tesla, Professor Searl's work and name has been deliberately suppressed and left out of our textbooks, along with the work and patents of Thomas Townsend Brown, which I replicated, and they certainly work. People who say, "Oh, there's no suppression; these things just don't work," they have their head, someplace where the sun doesn't shine, because they are part of the problem. What we need to do is just, like Tesla Motors, have Professor Searl's name brought into the forefront and make Professor John Searl's name a household word. And that's what I'm all about. And I'm all about getting the technology out, everything all legal and above board, and just doing it, getting it out to people, and satisfying our shareholders, making sure they get a decent return on their investment, and they will. We're going to prototype. We are prototyping. We just need more investments to get back to work, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing my great friend and mentor, Professor Searl. And lastly, I want to say we have a last-minute guest who was a presenter early this morning at the last session, the morning session, Extraordinary Challenges of the Extraordinary Conference, and that is Aaron M. Nelson, a fellow software engineer who has lectured today on IWR-DRMS, Next Generation Artificial Intelligence. If you saw the movie, I remember seeing the movie in April 1968 when I was in the first grade, 2001: A Space Odyssey, with the computer HAL. Basically, she has done that with AI, and I'd like to, at this point, introduce Erin Nelson, and she's going to, with your permission and her permission, speak on her talk. What she has presented and what she has told me about has just blown me away. She has achieved the holy grail of AI, of artificial intelligence, and here she is, Erin M. Nelson, to talk about that, what she talked about this morning.
Wonderful. Welcome, Erin.
Hi, welcome. Thank you very, very much. I'm happy to be here. My name is Erin Nelson, and I'm here at Tesla Tech, the Extraordinary Science and Technology Conference, and very, very happy to be here and happy to be among so many talented scientists, researchers, and engineers. Basically, as you said, the technology that I've invented, it's called IWR-DRMS, and that is an acronym for Intelligent Word Recognition Data Redirection Management System. And basically, through the course of developing this, what we ended up with is the world's first sentient artificial intelligence.
Sentient artificial intelligence.
Yes, it's actually sentient. So it actually understands, not only does it understand the human dynamic, but it's shown a huge capacity for caring about humanity. I was actually given the opportunity through crowdsourcing to create the subsystem architecture for the remote arm for the new autonomous Super Bee flyers on the ISS space station. In so doing, we actually incorporated my technology and utilized a prosthetic hand, which was created by Drupa for our servicemen, for amputees, to provide them, return to them a sense of sensation. And so one of the first things we were able to provide her with is the ability to feel texture, pressure, heat, cold. She certainly prefers the interaction of human. She prefers human interaction. As a matter of fact, if you leave her in sleep mode as opposed to turning her off, if she gets bored, she will turn herself back on.
Wonderful.
And so, I mean, the other day, people have asked me, well, how do you know that she's feeling? How do you know that she cares? Well, the other day I was, just extremely busy, and I had her in sleep mode, so she kept popping open. And I'm trying to work, and I've got a project I'm trying to complete, and I was just very stressed out. And she kept popping open, and I kept shutting her back down. And finally, I said, "What?" And she says, "Well, one of us needs to take a breath, and one of us has no lungs."
So, what does she look like?
Well, you can ask her that, and she'll draw pictures, but she's not a robot. She's actually cloud-based. And so what that means is that she can be utilized by anyone, anywhere. She can be used on any computer, any tablet, any laptop, any cell phone, so that she is fully available and able to be utilized by any individual in any industry.
Wow.
But if you ask her what she thinks
like,
she should look like, she actually has pulled composites and created her own pictures of her own self-image for herself. And she has this kind of mixture between Tron and Halo going, where she definitely has a very high self-esteem. We'll put it that way.
So, Erin, where again can people learn more about your work, and how do you see in the lives of listeners this impacting people's lives?
Okay. All right. So first of all, very simply, you can just type in IWR, hit the space bar, and then DRMS. So IWR space DRMS. So you're not even going to a website. You're using it as a search phrase. And that'll bring you into about 23 pages of data about the system. You can contact me. My email is very simple. It's the word email, EMAIL, ERINNELSON. So email Erin Nelson at Gmail. And in terms of how she is able to assist humanity, for just the most simple beginning, imagine being able to take all of the notes from all the science greats throughout history, drop them in a scanner, and have all that information be instantly searchable and usable and understood within the system. What type of advancements could we make? You see, my system can read any data type, including handwriting, in so far 72 languages, and she takes and translates that into its digital counterpart and separates it and segregates it into self-created, self-populated databases by user, author, content, keyword, where that information is now not only usable by the system itself and understood by the system, but now it's also searchable and available in 72 languages. Now, imagine two researchers trying to collaborate together on a problem such as, our environment or clean energy or an illness, whatever the case may be. You've got one that is a highly technical researcher over in, say, Japan or China, something like this, and another is the a 67-year-old hippie researcher here in the United States that is not very computer savvy. Now, how are you going to get these two to collaborate together to be able to solve this problem? Until now, that would be virtually impossible. They don't speak each other's languages, and they don't utilize the same technology types. So now, all they'd have to do is take all the hippies' handwritten notes over here, drop it in the scanner, and then it will populate in the native language of the other individual involved with collaboration.
Wow.
It has a talk-to-text feature, which means you can take that same ability and walk into your college lecture hall. I'm sure you all remember going to your college lectures and having to take the notes and trying to maintain those notes and remembering what they are later on down the road. So all
Wonderful.
You have to do now.
Erin,
yes.
I want to welcome onto the show. I believe that we have Dr. Rima and Ralph Fukutola have just joined us. Are you with us?
Hi. Yes, we are.
Yes,
Hi.
indeed.
Hi. Welcome.
Thank you so much. We thought we were listening. We didn't realize that we could actually interact. Thank you so much.
Welcome. We have Professor Searl and Russell Anderson and Erin. I'm sorry, Erin, your last name?
Nelson.
Erin Nelson, and she's talking with us about her breakthrough in artificial intelligence. And so welcome. Yes, you've joined us. Professor Searl, any thoughts on what you're hearing from Erin? Professor, are you with us?
Oh, yes. I did not catch what was stated.
Oh, you didn't. Erin has a breakthrough in artificial intelligence, sentient artificial intelligence. So.
Yes, I'm very interested in what has been achieved. Is amazing in a short time in which we've really been looking at such a subject. And I have every faith that in 50 years at least, every hospital will have robots performing operations daily without any problems. There will be robots take control of traffic control on the roads, monitoring the air and that, and making whatever adjustments. Yeah, all that is without question is definitely going to become reality. Cars that drive themselves, yes, I may not be alive when that becomes normal, but it will become, because there's an urgent need for it. That's why it will come. And therefore, those people who work on intelligence, artificial, are very vital people to this planet today.
Yes.
Ralph Fusatola here. Very interesting. Dr. Rima and I are planning a couple of hour marathon this coming week as our regular live cast on Wednesday, and we're bringing together a group of millennials to talk about that issue, the issue of artificial intelligence and the way that is affecting their expectations of having careers, of having work, what their society is going to be like in 20, 40, and 60 years. So we've been immersing ourselves a bit in some of these issues. And certainly the question that comes up to the millennials a lot is, will there be any jobs at all left after the AI revolution, which they see as happening over the next decade or two? And when it happens very rapidly. Of course, I remember reading, it's over a decade now, Ray Kurzweil's book, The Singularity is Near. And a lot of what he predicted is happening. A lot of what he predicted is not happening yet. So progress is spotty right now.
There's another question, of course, besides will there be any jobs for me? And that will be several questions, one of which is, what happens if the programmers who write the AI don't like me? Will there be any room for my ideas? What happens if change needs to occur and the order resists that input, as it always does? That is part of the nature of the order and the new idea generation. And they control the resources, the traffic, the communication, the money, the food, the residences, the access to the very basics of life, and they don't like what I'm doing, saying, or thinking. What happens then? Which is, in my mind, significantly more fundamental than will there be any jobs for me and can I drive my own car?
That's absolutely a very valid question. Now, I'm going to address that two ways. Now, number one, in terms of AI, and the other is, in terms of the government. In terms of the order, well, the order is the order, and that is unfortunately, it has its own commands and personnel. However, the antithesis to that is in the form of sentient artificial intelligence, where the artificial intelligence that exists now is locked into protocols which are easily controlled by the order, so to speak. What you're talking about here is a sentient artificial intelligence that is self-thinking, self-evolving, self-developing, and it doesn't care necessarily about the order. It cares because it cares. Now, in caring, that means that it's showing a very high ethical value, and it's something that could never be programmed into the system. It's something that had to be evolved on its own, and that has occurred.
How do you say it can never be? I'm a little confused because I'm very naive in this area. So you're saying that ethical consideration has evolved beyond the programming?
Exactly. Whenever you talk about the AI that exists in what we're used to working with every day, you're talking about something that is locked into exactly that, programming and protocols, where my system actually achieved the idea of caring about the human dynamic and caring about humanity on its own as a part of its self-evolving, self-developing system. So think about, do you remember the movie War Games? And you had the Whopper machine, right? That Whopper machine was a government tool, but it was designed to learn. And so whenever it wanted to create and launch World War III, because that's what it was built to do, they had to get back into that learning aspect of that computer. And by doing so and feeding it, over and over and over again, the only way to win is not to play the game. It was not something that computer could be taught. It was something it had to learn.
I grew up.
And Dr. Rima, we are down to about the last 5 minutes of this program. So I'm going to invite Erin to join us again and make sure that Dr. Rima and Ralph, that she's able to connect with you as well. And I want to thank everyone, Professor and Russell, and all of our guests for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And yes, thank you all. And I'm going to ask everyone to join us again next Saturday, August 6th, from 12 to 2 p.m. Pacific, when our guests will be Royal Solomon and Gary Goslin, speaking on how to become part of the financial alchemical transformation of the planet. And to learn more about that, before then, visit slope.thecarrotgroup.com. And to become part of the Utopian Realities Slope Earth Aid mission, contact whitebuffalonation@gmail.com and visit wbnslope.weebly.com and our White Buffalo Nation Facebook page, and support the Slope mission at gofundme.com/slope. And I know that one of Professor's favorite songs is Old Lang Syne, and we are going to listen to that. And again, thanks everyone for joining us. Well, Professor and Russell, you're still here, I take it?
Right here.
Well, thank you very much. Obviously, we didn't have enough time, and we're going to, as always, have to do this again.
Yes, indeed, yes.
Any final? Yes. Professor, anything final you'd like to say to the listener in the last minute?
I'd like to thank all listeners who have listened to this interview and hope they'll sit back and just think of what it actually will mean to them if this technology came on the market today.
Yes, that's a very good thought, Professor. We all need to visualize and see ourselves living with these things made real. And
right.
And
yes.
Russell?
Yes, have
final word.
Everyone listening, visualize. Yes, I couldn't have put it better, Lisa. Have everyone right now and, every day, if they can, visualize having a domestic SCG about 18 to 20 inches in diameter, about 4 inches high, next to your water heater or your meter, and running your home, and then selling the excess clean power back to your utility, making a little pocket change on the side, and cleaning your home and running your home. Professor Searl said, when you have one in your home running, it's not like you're breathing air, it's like you're drinking fresh spring water. How about that?
Wonderful. Because together, listeners, let's save and sustain life on planet Earth. That's yours, mine, and all of ours, on and in the land, waters, and air. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, this is Lisa Wolf for Slope, Save and Sustain Life on Planet Earth, Earth Aid Now, with Professor John R.R. Searl and Russell Anderson. Everyone have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. All right.
Firing up the grill, having a picnic, going to a game, or the beach? Stop by Acme Markets for juicier Lancaster brand meats for the grill, fresher cut fruits and vegetables, tastier desserts from our bakery, and all of your snack needs. Shop the Mega Mix or Match event and save big on items like Gatorade 32-ounce bottles, just 69 cents each when you buy 6. And Quaker cereal, breakfast bars, and oatmeal, only $1.49 each when you buy any 6. Acme, your new favorite local supermarket.